Welcome to the Private Practice Startup Podcast, where we help ambitious private practitioners across the globe to brand themselves and grow their dream practices. We chat with successful private practitioners, business coaches, and marketing experts, bringing you tons of practice building ninja tips. Visit privatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and our signature marketing e-course. Here are your co-hosts, Dr. Kate Campbell and Katie Lemieux.
Hey there, Startup Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the Private Practice Startup Podcast. And I cannot believe, I think we are episode 215. And before we hopped on with today's guest, we were just recording one of our Up Close and Personal podcast series with Samara Stone. And she was on with us back at episode 37. And our guest today says she's actually a long-time listener of this podcast, and she is going to drop some really cool knowledge about what she's done with marketing that blew up her practice, and maybe it will also blow up yours. So our guest today is Micheline Maalouf, and we're going to be talking about how to use TikTok in video to boost your practice. So before we dive in and we share a little bit about her and what she's going to talk about today, we wanted to say, if you are brand new to listening to us, we wanted to thank you and welcome you to the Startup Nation family. And we have special gifts for you because we love to give gifts. Head over to privatepracticestartup.com and check out our resources tab. And honestly, there's a bunch of really cool free stuff there. And why don't you just choose something that really resonates with you? Today's guest, like I said, is Micheline, and Micheline is the owner of Serein Counseling, and I'm going to ask her to share a little bit about that name. It was beautiful about what she shared. And she owns her private practice. She's in Orlando, and she went into private practice straight out of grad school. She specializes in complex trauma and anxiety. She's a third culture kid, lived in 4 different countries, and speaks 4.25 languages. Only English for therapy, though, and she has a passion for traveling. She'll always consider herself being different and having a hard time really fitting into the box, as she says, where we're supposed to fit. So she says she's a goof. She loves having fun and bringing out her inner child as much as possible, which has really gotten her into TikTok, which is super cool. And before we do dive in and say hello to Micheline, we hope that you guys joined us last week where Kate and I did a podcast, and I shared a personal story about what's been going on with me, and we talked about what happens when your practice evolves. So check that out if you didn't check it out. Micheline, welcome. It is a pleasure to have you here. We are so happy that you reached out to us about this topic.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm obviously very starstruck just being on the podcast with you guys. So yes, I was so excited and had to share some of this info.
We're always shocked when people say that. We just don't see us that way. So just sit back, relax. We're just going to be talking about a topic where you're the expert today, because we were super impressed when you sent us, the email, and, like Kate said, she started watching your TikTok. I'm like, she is really good. And you like this is little rhymey story. It's so fun. I just love it.
It's so interesting because you say you've been listening to us for a while, so you feel kind of starstruck. And I saw you on social media and your TikTok profile and some of the really creative marketing that you've been doing before we ever had a chance to actually interact through email and have that conversation. So I kind of saw you as someone who's doing something really unique and really cool. So it's kind of the mutual starstruckness, I guess you could say.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. That's actually really cool that you got to see that. That makes me feel honored.
It's neat how you have been able to use this very creative platform to get your name out there, and you have really gotten your name out there. So I'm dying to hear your story. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how this is unfolded for you.
Sure. So I have always been a lover of social media. I am a millennial, loved Instagram, Facebook. And when I first got out of grad school, I was like, I need to make my presence known some way that way, because I know that people connect with you if they can see a face or if you can give them value. And they kind of know who you are a little bit prior to reaching out to you. So I started on Instagram. And that was really hard growth. We all know it's there's a lot of people on there. And so I tried YouTube. I have a YouTube channel as well, but it's really hard to get started there. And so I've always liked making videos. When I was a child, I used to pretend like we were like Barbara Walters in 2020 with my family, just like doing funny little skits and then presenting them. And so TikTok came about. And I was like, you can only make 1-minute videos. I never really thought of it seriously. And I have a friend who knew my passion for videos. So she was like, hey, I know you've been making YouTube videos and Instagram, but have you thought about TikTok? I was like, I don't even know how that's possible. Like, how do I even like put content under a minute, on social media about mental health topics? So I downloaded the app and I started looking through, and I saw there was only like 1 or 2 therapists on there at the time. And both of them had maybe like over 100,000 followers. And I'm like, man, this must be a need. So I posted a video just introducing myself. I was like, hey, I'm Micheline. This is what I work with. And it was to a popular song that was going on. TikTok, you select audio and you just play it. And that one blew up to, I think, about 2 million views. And overnight, I grew to like 120,000 followers. And I obviously was really nervous. I'm like, what do I do now?
That is amazing. I have like full on body chills for you. That is amazing. Yeah. Wow. Like, was that one of the things you're like, okay, I'll just like publish it and I'm going to go to bed. I won't look at it. And then the next morning you wake up. Like, what was that feeling like for you?
Yeah, so actually I used to work at a local college, and I was on my lunch break when I had recorded the video in my counseling office because I was doing counseling part-time and I was working full-time at the college. So I had recorded the video and I'm like, what do I do? So I edited it, and then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to post it, whatever. I didn't think it was a great video, to be honest. I was like, this is kind of stupid. It's a little blurry. It's kind of dark. Like, I don't even know if anything's going to happen. And so I just posted it during my lunch. And then I went to lunch with my friends, and I just checked back in within 15 minutes. I'm like, what? Like, this has 10,000 views. Like, what is happening here? And then like every time I would log on to the app, it was like 99 plus notifications. And so, yeah, I was like not expecting that at all. It was weird. And so the next day I just like logged on. I was like, hey, I was not expecting this. Thank you guys so much. I promise I'll, bring you the content that you're looking for. And so people were commenting questions. And that's really how I choose my topics, is like, what do people want to know about? And then I make a video about it. So very cool. Very surreal.
I love that you say, in regards to, you make your videos based off what people are asking. And I think a lot of times therapists struggle with, like, what am I supposed to write? What should I ask? And, Kate and I are constantly saying is, even in therapy, is your clients will direct you on what they need, right? Because they're going to ask or they're going to talk about it. And I'm just curious, like, did you have any like marketing background, or you just kind of naturally knew how to do this and how to give I love that you said it's like, okay, guys, now you have this like fan base and you're like, I have to perform, I have to deliver. I love that you're just like, I have to give you what you need.
Exactly. Because I honestly, like, when I saw that, when I woke up to that number of people the next day, because it just kept growing. And when I woke up to that, I was like, this isn't for me. Like, there's no way I can handle this. Like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, I really freaked out. So, because I'm an introvert naturally, and I have a lot of anxiety naturally. So for me, like, that was like a responsibility. So I was like, how do I even, like, what topics do I cover? What did they want to know? What if I, all of the what ifs. And so when I was just like, let me look at the comments and see what questions they're asking. And that was the easiest way for me to organize that. So that helped. And I still do that. I'm like, what do you want to know? And they'll ask questions. I'm like, okay, adding it to the list. And Amazing. Then, yeah.
What did your family say when you shared this with them?
It's really funny because my family was like, oh my God, are you a teenager? Like, this is silly. Like, that's not going to, like, you should post more on YouTube. Like, don't waste your time on TikTok. Like, they were also very supportive of my business, but they didn't think that TikTok would be it. And so I was like, I don't care. I'm having fun with this. Like, I love this. There's a lot of teenagers on here, and the pandemic hit and like everyone was on TikTok. So, now they're just like, every time I tell them something new about TikTok, their eyes are like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, yeah, like, yes, this is happening. And they're like, I can't believe that TikTok was it. I'm like, I know. So it's just, I think even I was doubtful at the beginning. So I get it.
Yeah. So tell us where your practice was before you blew up on TikTok and what's happened since then.
So I was working at a college as an advisor, and I was working there full time, and I was part-time in my practice. So it had been going well. I had been, getting most of my referrals from Psychology Today and, my old supervisor, and, there was just like word of mouth kind of stuff. And I was scared because my goal was to be full-time in private practice, but I knew that I couldn't leave my job without like feeling secure enough to do so. I mean, I was scared just because of, government jobs, they're so stable. But then when I blew up on TikTok, it was just like constant, I have a scheduler on my website, and it was just constant consultations. And so I was like, I kept referring people out. I couldn't see them until I finally left my job. And then I was able to, go full time in my private practice. And now, I've been on TikTok since the end of January, and now I'm hiring. I just hired my first therapist. So it's growing to a group practice.
Woo-hoo!
Yes.
Amazing.
I know. And a life coach, actually, because I realized I got a lot of people asking, do you offer coaching? I'm like, no, I don't do coaching, but I can find one. And so now I have a life coach and I have another therapist. They both haven't started yet, but like I'm in the process of getting their paperwork in order and all of that. So yeah.
Did you have visions of having a group practice, or it just kind of was a need?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I always wanted a group practice. I still like now my new vision is like a wellness center with like, so I want to grow. I want to make this like, I want to be able to do, I love educating. So I think that's another thing that I love about TikTok is I love giving people educational content. Like I think part of our job is psychoed, and some people can't afford therapy. And the feedback that I receive from comments and DMs is like, because of you, because of your TikToks, I have been able to seek out therapy, or because of this TikTok that you spoke about, I realized I wasn't going crazy. I now understand where this is stemming from, because I talk a lot about like, where anxiety might come from, what the symptoms are, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, like all of the stuff that we teach our clients. And I just give that information out in a way that's easy to understand and quick. And so they tend to resonate with that. And they're like, oh my gosh, okay. So it's just really rewarding to see that, we can help people without being their therapist. And, maybe even opening the doors to people who have never thought about therapy, or maybe didn't know what it was like, or what kinds of things happen in therapy. So it's really an eye opener. Like not a lot of people really know much about our profession.
Right. What a beautiful impact. Like that makes me like emotional as you talk about that, because like the reality, like you might not even know someone, and I'm sure you have followers from other countries, and they're like, because of just watching this video or following you, like I made a decision that I needed help, and like the impact that you're having. Because I always look at, our impact sometimes we think about like with the person in the room, right? But the reality is as we're helping change and transform people, then it's just that ripple effect to their friends, their family, and for you to have this amazing reach, like such great impact, amazing work. That's just very profound.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely, you really don't know there's a need until you see what's happening on there.
Yeah.
That's gotta be so powerful to have those interactions with people that you've never met. They're watching your content, and wherever they are along that continuum, whether they're just consuming the content and this is the way that they're getting help for now because maybe they can't afford a therapist or they don't have the courage yet to go actually get help, or whether they're actually inspired to reach out, whether it's you or whether they're referring a friend or whatever. It's amazing that you're able to really have such a broad impact for people on so many different levels. I want to go ahead and just take a quick break for our sponsor.
Okay, guys, it's sponsor time. You know what? Instead of reading a script about Gusto's payroll and benefits, we wanted to tell you what small business owners say, the people who use Gusto every day. Here's what one small business owner says. With Gusto, I think of payroll as a 30-second job. The website is so friendly and a joy to use. Friendly payroll? You don't hear that every day. And how about Amy from Utah? Amy says, I love Gusto so much. It's so painless. It's like going to the spa, and we have great options and rates even though we're a super small team. Like going to the spa? Wow. And here's what Mneet says about Gusto's support team. Whenever something comes up, I reach out and literally 24 hours later, they tell us what to do or assure us that we've already handled it. Smart technology and friendly humans, that's super cool. Honestly, the list goes on, and right now our listeners get 3 months free when they go to gusto.com/PPS. Yep, 3 months of payroll, benefits, administration, and more, totally free. Again, that's gusto.com/PPS.
There are so many ways to keep your practice organized, but Therapy Notes is by far the best. Their easy to use, secure platform lets you not only do billing, scheduling, and progress notes, but also create a client portal to share documents and request signatures. Plus, they offer amazing unlimited phone support. So when you have a question, they're there so you can get help fast. Get started with Therapy Notes today, trusted by over 60,000 professionals. Go to therapynotes.com and enter promo code PPS, as in Private Practice Startup, and you'll get 2 months for free. Also, you can listen to episode 54, where we interviewed Brad Pliner and took an in-depth view into their EHR.
Micheline, I would love to dive into, and I'm sure the audience is really curious, more of the nitty gritty. How do you, I know you come up with the video content based off the questions, but how long does it take you to create a video? What is your structure? What are some of those tips that you have?
Yeah, so I don't take notes in session with my real clients. So I have a notebook now, and every single time I'm talking to them about something, and I'll just make a note to myself to remember how I explained it there. So that's something that I've started doing. But really I'll take the questions that somebody asks me about. I put it in this app called Trello, where you can manage, the questions. And so I put it in that app, and then I work with my clients on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. So I do some Wednesdays as well, but Wednesdays is my planning, and Fridays are my planning. So Wednesdays and Fridays, I tend to record a batch of my videos. So I'll make, I post one video a week on TikTok, sometimes more if there's a trend happening and I'm I need to jump on this trend. But usually it's one video a day. And so I'll record enough for a week just so that I have something. And then each video, so the recording is probably the fastest part, because they're 15 seconds to a minute long. I try to keep most of my videos between 15 to 20 seconds, although some of them need to, I did a video on CBT and had to go for a minute. But, most hey, you might be experiencing anxiety if, and, listing out 3 symptoms, or listing out behaviors or something like that. Those are usually between 15 to 20 seconds. So that's really quick. But then the editing part, you can edit right in the app. So you don't have to have any special tools or editing software or anything like that. The music is in the app, so you choose the music that you want to go along with your video. You can adjust the volume, so it's background music. And then you can just type up the text, and then you have an area under the edit button where you can select when you want the text to pop up and when you want it to disappear. And I think that's the part that takes the longest, because you kind of have to watch your mouth move to see where where you're finishing a sentence to add in the other one. So I would say, for the shorter videos, it could take me 10 to 20 minutes. For longer videos, if, my battery's dying, my phone's freezing or something, it might take a little bit longer. There are apps you can definitely edit outside the app, but I would not recommend that, just because, I think TikTok does prefer that you use their fonts and their, all of their things. So yeah, so it really depends. At the beginning, it used to take me a lot longer, just because I was getting used to how do you do this? And a lot of that stuff will be in the packet that I created, because there's a lot of creators on there that teach you how to use TikTok, and then teach you, the how-tos that really is out of my, that's, I prefer the mental health stuff, but there's so many creators that can really help you. How do you get started? And so that is really what I followed. I would go to their pages and figure out how do I do this? But now it takes me a lot less time to edit, obviously, just because I've gotten so used to it. So I'll say maybe an hour to do the 7 videos for the week. And then I just save them to my drafts, and you have a draft section in there. So all you have to do is just go on and post them at the time that you want your video to pop up.
Now, when you're publishing on TikTok, which other social media platforms are you also publishing on?
Now that Instagram has launched their Reels, which is like a TikTok knockoff in my opinion, but I've downloaded my TikTok videos and uploaded them there. And that in itself has gotten me, because, I think video is like a big thing right now. And so that alone has gotten me, I think in a matter of 2 months, I gained 10,000 followers on Instagram just by uploading my TikToks.
Wow.
So I think they're pushing out that content. So the issue is that if you make a TikTok that's longer than 15 seconds, you can't upload that to Reels, because Reels are 15 seconds. So you can't have a 20-second video on there. So if you have a video that's 15 seconds long, you can definitely download it and then upload it to your other. That's what I've been doing, just kind of recycling content, and it helps, reach more people.
Very cool. I'm curious as to what's one of the most viewed either topics or one of your most viewed videos. What is that?
My most viewed videos has to do with the fawn response, people pleasing, and overthinking. So those tend to be okay, so this is like a little TikTok secret. It's like you want to use the word you in the beginning of the videos. Like you want people to think you're talking to them. And so it's like you might be a people pleaser if, and what is a fawn response? I think that was my question. I think I was like, you've heard of fight, flight, and freeze, but what is fawn? And that one, then I went into the people pleasing and, how you have trouble saying no and the codependency response and kind of talking about that. And then so many people resonate with that because I think a lot of us have that within us, trouble saying no. We just want to be liked and appreciated. And so that was really big. I think this was recent, maybe a month ago, and it got 2 million views on that. Yeah. And so that was a huge one. I provided I have one that I create a lot of videos with the Addams Family song. It's da 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 da. And then you have the snap.
Yes.
And so the things you didn't know were trauma is a huge one as well.
Yes. So I saw that one.
Yeah. So I listed the ACE, assessment, growing up in poverty or, going through a divorce or witnessing your parents' divorce or, being bullied, things that people don't recognize that can be traumatic. And that was just an eye opener to a lot. It's oh, that's why I'm dealing with all of this anxiety, or that's why I feel this way. I went through 10 of those and I'm okay, well, it's an eye opener. So I think that resonated with people as well.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So cool. So
I'm curious about how, with the interactions where people are DMing you or commenting or asking questions, how much time does that take to manage all of the commenting and interactions, and how much commenting back do you actually do?
Yeah, so I don't answer DMs or personal messages just because of the liability from our profession. So I've made that clear in a disclaimer on Instagram, because on TikTok, the good thing about that is unless you follow someone back, they have no option to send you a message. So, which I love. But on Instagram, they can, and you have that request area. So I delete those right away. I don't want those in my inbox because there's some stuff at the beginning, I was oh my gosh, what do I do? And so then after, consulting with a few people, I was no, I made a disclaimer, and it's saying basically I don't engage in DMs. This is an educational platform. Mm-hmm. So as far as comments go, people do comment, and there's no way you can get to all of them if your video does well. If my video doesn't get so many views, mostly my followers, then I'll just respond back because it's doable. I usually spend right when I post a video, I spend anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes just responding back. And if I can't, because I'm going into session, then I'll just come in and comment or just whatever time you have. There's no rule. It doesn't impact anything. The only thing it impacts is I like that sense of community that I've developed on TikTok. So I respond back because to me, it's important for me and who I'm presenting myself to be, but I know other therapists on there, they don't always respond back. And like I said, there's some videos, like once I respond to like 10 or 20 comments or something, then I'm done. Like that's my cap, because you can get sucked into that. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I made that mistake a few times, where I'm like, where has the time gone? Oh my goodness. And you don't, TikTok's very addicting. So you want to make sure that you put a cap on yourself. Say, I'm going to respond to 5 comments or 10 comments, or maybe give yourself a time frame. And like I said, I give myself about 20 minutes. And then since I only post a video a day, it's not that bad. It's just like, okay.
And I'm curious, as you have blown up and people really want to work with you, when people are calling and they're like, I saw you on TikTok, like I have to work with you, and you're just full, like, what do you say?
So that's been a challenge, because at one point before I hired my other clinician, I had a wait list, and I was referring out, and I'm like, it might be 6 months. And they're like, that's fine, I'll wait. And so I'm like, okay, but like I don't have a timeline as far as like when my clients leave and stop therapy. So I'm calling people back now that I've hired them, and I'm saying, hey, like I have another clinician. She's great. I went through it was a hard interview. So I know that she's going to be a great fit for you guys. And some of them would not want to go, and others were saying, okay, I'll try it out, So it is a challenge, but I think it's about how you present it, and like knowing that, hey, like I know that you liked my content. I know that you resonate with me. I will not lose that trust, and I would not break that trust with you by referring you to someone that I wouldn't vouch for. So I do have a few friends in the community that I knew were great therapists, and I would refer out to them. And when you tell them that, like when you say, hey, like you can trust that I'm not going to just send you to anyone. Like I'm going to send you to somebody I know. Then they feel calmer, and it's really just about how you present it and making them feel confident. And I told them, hey, you can always add yourself to my wait list, and I can always give you a call. But at that time, maybe you're working with someone and you're having a great, time with them, and they're working for you. So you wouldn't need to see me at that point. You can just tell me, hey, no, I'm happy where I'm at.
Very cool. So what is like the future as you create this group practice and incorporating your clinicians into TikTok? Like, did you tell them like that's like part of the requirement of working here?
I wish. Well, I thought legally that might have not been like something I could have done, but I did tell them, I did ask a question in my interview, was like, what do you think of like social media and therapy? And, that was important for me. And so I think I would love it if my clinicians would be open to at least being in some of my videos if they don't want to create their own, but I'm not requiring it. So it would be great, because again, the face and getting people to know you, but both of them have been open to being in my videos, at least just like as an introduction. And, they're posting on Instagram, which is fine. It's another way that people can connect with you. So they're both okay with that. So that worked out great.
Nice. And I'm also curious about, I just lost my question. I had a question and I'm like,
That's okay. It'll come back to you. I can ask one in the meantime. I'm just curious, based on your journey and everything that you've learned in using TikTok, what advice would you have about how people can get started and maybe some tips to expedite that process for them?
Yeah. So don't overthink it. Like, I think a lot of people really overthink it. Like, is this really professional? And I think on social media, it's just been like, you have to present this like facade, like especially Instagram. It was very like curated and, everything had to be perfect. And TikTok is not like that. People like real there. So if you're thinking about going on TikTok, just make a video. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't, have to be like the best video in the world. Like, just make a video, introduce yourself, be yourself, because at the end of the day, that's what I notice people want. So a lot of people comment things about having like inauthentic therapists in the past and not feeling that comfort. And so I think when they see somebody that's like, hey, like, I'm here, this is who I am, what you see is what you get. I think they really love that. And so just be yourself and don't overthink it. You'll get better as time goes on. I think that's the biggest piece of advice that I can give, because that's how I did it. I mean, you can go back and look at my first video. It's terrible. And it still did well and it did the job. So, yeah.
Nice. I'm so grateful that Kate and I share a brain, because that's what I wanted to ask you. I was like, I had another thought, and it's always interesting sometimes. Podcasting is because it's like therapy, right? It's like you're listening, and you're like, okay, I got to ask that. Wait, I got to wait. So thank God Kate and I share a brain, because that is what I was going to ask you in regards to that, because especially with video, is people have a lot of fear about that, and you never know. You're going to blow up on TikTok. So cool. Micheline, what would you like our audience to take away from your message today?
To just, just do it. It's not, there's nothing that is standing in your way besides yourself. That's the mentality that I kind of went in as far as opening my private practice. It's just that fear that we all have. Like, what are people thinking of me? What if I don't do well? What if? And I would say, take that, that type of authenticity and who you are, and just do it. Don't think too much about it. Whether it's video or on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram, it doesn't really matter, but just be you. And I think that's really what people connect with. And I think that's the success of TikTok in itself, is just the authenticity. So
nice. I love the way that you said authenticity from early on our podcast. That was just always a theme, and we always ring the authenticity cowbell. So I'm ringing it without the sound. That's awesome. Well, I mean, it's really been a pure pleasure to just listen to you and hear how you've been successful. And I can only imagine what that might feel like, of like having like 2 million views and like how crazy that is. But really, I just loved how you shared the impact that you're making and touching so many lives and what you did. And so for that, I thank you, because like you said, it's really hard sometimes in the world of therapy, is we can't share and disclose, but we can provide education. And you have found just a beautiful, authentic, creative way that is in alignment with you and so many others, and it's fun. And like you said, like, I love the Addams Family one, that music in the background, and you are snapping your fingers. And I think I saw one where you talk about like taking a nap in between sessions.
Oh,
and
yes.
You jump on your couch, and it's just so cool. So thank you so much for reaching out to us, and I hope that this podcast inspires others to also reach out to you. So tell us, where can we find you? But you also have a giveaway for our audience.
Yes, so you can find me on Instagram at Serein, Serein, Micheline, Micheline, or on TikTok. And my name's kind of weird on there. It's my nickname from childhood. So it's Mash, M-A-S-H, Mush, E. So M-U-S-H-E, Mash Mushe. Or on my website, I have free tools on. So I created a PDF to help anyone who's interested in getting started on TikTok. There's some do's and don'ts, why it's important to be on TikTok right now, how to create videos, and then all of the people that kind of helped me create my videos, some links in the PDF that can link to their TikTok videos, as well as other therapists that are on there. So you can kind of see the different ways that people are presenting mental health information. And that can be found on my website at sereincounsling.com/free-tools.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. And Kate?
Yes, thank you so much for coming on today. It was just such a joy to hear your story and how you literally blew up on TikTok overnight, and you're having such a huge impact. It's just really inspirational. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing more of your videos in the future and where this growth path takes you with your group practice and all of that good stuff. So I just wanted to take a moment to also say our Startup Nation superhero shout out for this episode. And this is from Casey Tannenbaum. Casey says, each week I look forward to opening my inbox to see what valuable information Kate and Katie will share. As a clinician and entrepreneur, I'm so grateful for their expertise and knowledge. Their awesome #ninja tips have helped me catapult my practice and grow on a professional and personal level. Casey, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that shout out and your feedback. And Startup Nation, we always love to hear from you, because Katie and I are trying to curate content that is specifically created just to meet your needs. So if there's a topic that we haven't had on yet, definitely let us know, and we're happy to create that. And in the meantime, we hope you stay inspired, and we are here cheering you on every step of the way.
See you later, Startup Nation. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on The Private Practice Startup. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and so much more.